Welcome to Energy Linguist, a sacred space for awakening souls ready to learn how language shapes consciousness and discover what energy has been speaking all along. I am Laura Ahern, the Energy Linguist, a spiritual channel and the founder of Linguistic Consciousness Studies. In this podcast, I share divine transmissions and teach you to decode the language shaping your consciousness so that you can heighten your intuition, claim your calling, and learn to create consciously instead of unconsciously. Take a breath. This is where unconscious creation becomes creative mastery. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Energy Linguist Podcast. I am your host, Laura Ahern, and it is my absolute honor that you are joining me here today for this next episode of Energy Linguist Podcast. And today is super powerful because I am bringing you home today of the core of your power. And for those of you listeners who are empathic in nature, I sense you're really going to love this power that we bring you back to the core of. The core message I was receiving before jumping on to record this podcast was as follows. They cannot control your mind if they do not control your emotions. Now, this is a really powerful message being channeled, and there's so much information that I'm going to share with you today to help you break down what this message really means. Because on the surface, it's already really obvious. It talks about the ability for you to not be emotionally controlled. But for those of you who have listened to my podcast, maybe you've worked with me or you've read my book, you have been exposed to some of my philosophies, one of my favorite philosophies of the conduit of the mind. And my framework on the conduit of the mind starts to explain what this mind element really is. Because within the mind, we're not just talking about our thoughts or even just our thoughts and emotions, but we're talking about the experience of us that also involves our identity and our perception of reality, meaning the conclusions that we've made, the narratives we have in our minds around the things we've experienced that then causes us to perceive the world in a certain way. So when you re-listen to this message that's coming through, they cannot control your mind if they do not control your emotions. The mind that divinity is referencing controlling is the entire essence of your being. The very conduit of that which you can control, that can bring what you desire into your reality. We have a power that exists with us. This power that exists within us, that is us, is in the essence of the framework of the conduit of the mind. This conduit is the potential you hold to be a creative source within your own experience. And so today, as we dive into understanding how we can direct and influence our outcomes, we're going to specifically narrow in on the emotional state. I want to kick off this before we dive fully into understanding the emotions and understanding the processes, the mechanisms of the mind that you have control over. I want to talk to you about where you might be experiencing life right now, because there is a collective message that's been coming through for those of you who are awakening to this 5D consciousness that is revealing a lot of challenges. And many of you are feeling the density and the defeat of that resistance that is in front of you at this moment. A message coming through around this is that the challenge is an opportunity. However, when we are emotionally in the state of defeat, what we conclude in our exhausted, defeated state the frustrated state that feels like it's been trying everything and nothing seems to be working, we conclude that because there is a challenge, because I'm feeling defeated, this must not be the path. All of this awakening must be a bunch of BS. I've been working so hard. I've been trying so hard. I've been practicing all of the things. I've been doing my part. I've been going within the self. And yet here is another challenge in my life that I just can't seem to muster the energy to face right now. And I want to speak directly to the individual that might be experiencing nuances of this right now. The truth around these awakening times is that we are being asked to engage intentionally with the higher facilities of our mind. Within you exists a conscious creator. And there is so much inspiration, knowledge, intuition, tools that can assist you on this path. However, no matter how much inspiration, divine knowledge, awakening insight I can provide you, it will never fully take root in your life or change your life until it gets applied. Now, I hear some of you might be saying, I am applying it and I still feel the challenge. I still feel the resistance. So I want to shift your perception a little bit on this. We never fully get the opportunity to apply it until a challenge arises. Your adventure to and through your awakened state means that you are probably experiencing truths that you know at the core of your being. You're finding inspiration that touches your soul. You're seeing life in a different light. And though that is beautiful, all of that insight, all of that wisdom, all of those tools never actually get applied until we are met with an opportunity to apply them. And the opportunity exists within the challenge. It's why, though our human mechanism wants to avoid the pain and avoid the challenge, our spiritual self knows it's a necessary component for us to be refined and rise to our highest potential. And it is in the application of all of this insight that our lives begin to truly change. The reason I love speaking to you on the nuances of our energetic field, of the conduit of the mind, is because I have been blessed to have had divinity reveal to me the invisible architecture of our human potential. What I'm sharing with you is a reveal of your own inner architecture. And what this in particular episode is about today is about bringing you back into the core to understand the pieces of the architecture in which you can build solid foundations to adjust your perception and create the reality that you desire. In all of my courses, in this channeled guidance on this podcast and on my YouTube, in the books that I've written, there are a plethora of tools. Right? And we feel so much lighter once we release this misconclusion and the misidentities that make us feel unworthy. And suddenly life feels possible. And the potential of life and how we can be, how it can be, becomes clear. But then a challenge arises. And within this opportunity, what exists is an opportunity to decide what we are going to invest our emotions in. The challenge is not the problem. And the emotion that you feel is not the problem. Both are the opportunity. I talk about this and start to anchor it into the emotion because all of you listening, no matter if you believe it or not, it's totally irrelevant. You possess the creative source of God within you. It's a power to hold your experience, to see the emotion, to pull off of it, to look at it with curiosity and engage with the creative source to decide what that emotion is trying to convey to you. So often, in a reactive survival state, we are concluding that the emotion means something defeating about the self. And because the emotion feels dense, that it must mean bad things. However, even the highest charged negative, quote unquote, emotions give rise to an opportunity for us to discover a solution to a problem we've identified. And it's within this ability that you hold the power to create your entire life in the way you truly desire to live it. So I want to share a handful of things with you to help you understand the importance of emotion. Because for so many decades, emotions were not thought to be a core component of the mind, of even our consciousness necessarily. There was always this debate around thoughts versus emotions, this division of experience. And what we have come to understand through quantum physics is that the emotion and the thought are a mechanism that works together. Or I should say, can work together if we are willing to manage it with the higher consciousness that we have as creators. We all have a say in what thoughts we choose to think and what emotions we choose to give our attention to. I want you to ask yourself today, what emotion have you been dominantly giving your attention to? Even if it's unconscious, where is your emotional home? Though emotions come like tides, or they may rise out of reactivity or of an unexpected circumstance where we are perceiving it and trying to figure it out or stretch our consciousness into understanding what it is that we're up against. The truth is that we then can make a decision around what this experience and what this emotion means about us, what it means about our future. And you can, if you so choose, decide that it is in some way available for you to utilize within your own life. Though emotions will rise and fall, you have an emotional home. And whatever your dominant go-to emotion is, that is the home you've chosen. And that home becomes your reality. So though it feels nuanced, right? That emotions feel like they're out of our control and they're totally in our control. I want to break down for you exactly what areas you might experience this in. The nuance here is that emotions can rise from a reactive state. And when they do, it is because they are typically linked to a prior survival experience. However, they can be redirected. They can be reinterpreted. And this allows us to influence the way that we experience and perceive our world. Reactive emotions, or staying in an emotional home that is creating lack, defeat, drain in your life, likely means that you have chosen to remain in a state of emotion that potentially rose from a memory of the past. It is an emotion that is rising reactively, and it's so familiar that we tend to cling to it in ways. Many of us will actually resist shifting out of it because we become so at home and familiar in that vibration. We, as human beings, have made the mistake of thinking that this reactive nature, the rational mind, figuring things out, is the best way for us to break out of our survival, to create the life we desire. And it's the exact opposite. not just because we are in an awakening period in which the divine feminine energies are being ushered back in, which means utilizing the yin energy instead of that yang energy is so powerful right now, but also because our brains are actually wired accordingly. And so I want to share a bit of information that really reinforces for you not just how powerful your unconscious mind is, but the emotional mechanism that exists within the unconscious mind. Because for decades, we have been taught that we should reject and repress our emotions. For my empaths out there, you've been taught you are too much, you feel too much, that your emotions are inconvenient. And what I'm here to tell you is they are your power of creation. The emotional state is the magnet. It is the creative source. And so I want you to hear me when I tell you this. The conscious, rational thinking mind can process up to 50 bits of information per second, while the emotional mechanism of the brain, the limbic system, that functions in the unconscious, can process up to 11 million bits per second. Yeah. It's incredible. In this same amount of time, our conscious mind processes 50 bits of information. The reactionary piece of us, the rational, the looking for the answers, the looking for the solution, versus this unconscious emotional terrain that can process 11 million bits per second. So this idea that you should reject your emotions, that you're feeling too much, that you don't know what you're talking about, that you're out of line, is actually the exact opposite. Your emotions, your unconscious mind, the thing that you cannot yet rationalize, actually carries more knowing, more information than you could possibly conceive in the conscious mind. And this is why I want to invite you not just to feel your emotions, but I want to invite you into your own intuitive capacity. Because when we choose to trust what we feel, and we trust the thing we can't quite explain, we are speaking to divinity to say, I know that I am an infinitely intelligent mechanism. I know that I am a conscious creator. I know that I am in co-creation with the divine, and all of the things that I sense, that even if I can't consciously rationalize, explain, or understand them, they are the power that can drive my life to the places I want it to be. And so my advice to you today is to not reject your emotions, not to reject what you feel but can't explain, but instead to trust yourself enough to hold them even when you can't justify them to the external world. And this is exactly why they cannot control your mind if they do not control your emotions. Your emotions are your creative source. And the they we are talking about, it's not just the mass media, though it is, because there are enormous companies buying out other companies just so that they can control the platform of information that they're bringing to you. They aim to feed you specific information into your mind so that you feel a certain way. Maybe you buy a certain thing, right? It is control of the mind that we're up against. However, the they is also the theys in your life. Those who maybe want to talk you out of growing, of awakening, of changing, of doing something new. That they can also not control your mind if they do not control your emotions. And so this is your invitation to come back home to yourself and to trust even that which you cannot explain. To not just be in the reactive state of the emotion, which is the emotion that knows it's attempting to control or solve a problem or rationalize, but to see the mechanism of emotion. To see and say, oh, I see why the reactive emotion rose here, because I feel that I have to defend myself. It gets me out of sorts. I see that I'm trying to protect this. I see that I'm uncomfortable with this. And then choose to go deeper within the self, beyond the rational mind, to say, well, what do I really feel is off here? What is this prior experience teaching me? What wisdom exists within it that I can maybe see the way that I felt as a solution to the clarity I want to have in my life? Maybe it's pointing you to what you don't want in your life. Maybe it's pointing you to a judgment that shows you where your values are, where your standards are, what matters to you. Maybe it's revealing your higher purpose and what you came here for, the calling you came here to share with the world. I personally believe it's doing all of the above. And if we can pull off the judgment and the frustration of the reactive emotional state and choose to engage with the creator consciousness that exists within, we can start to create not just our own world in the way we desire it, but we can change the collective experience of the world where we create more harmony, peace, and we start to really contribute into bringing as many souls possible into this 5D consciousness. I believe in the core of my being that it is a real possibility. And I also believe that it's not possible without you. And so today I am hoping that this episode inspires you to engage with the conscious creator within, to know you can trust your intuition, to know that you can utilize your emotion, even the reactive ones, to reframe, to redirect, to put your perspective in the proper place where you feel empowered in your life, and to step on to your highest path and towards the fulfillment of your highest calling. I'm hoping you feel blessed and enlightened by this episode. And I cannot wait to be with you again here soon on Energy Linguist Podcast. Namaste. Thank you for receiving these messages with an open heart. If you're ready to trust your intuition, read the energy speaking through your life, and claim the calling waiting for you, it's time to begin with the rise. Through the rise, you can become trained in Honorea Reiki, the first sovereign woman-channeled Reiki lineage in history, and receive a full year of healing, mentorship, and community. Visit lauraahern.com/rise to find out more. Everything you need to know is already speaking to you, and I can teach you to translate it. Until next time, trust what you feel, honor what you know, and watch your language. It's creating everything.